Hello everyone, Ryan Embry here with The Sweet Spot. We are live on location at the 2026 Hotel Data Conference. I am here with Max Spangler, VP of Technology at Charlestowne Hotels. Max, we know you're on a panel tomorrow. We're going to talk about that in a second, but thanks for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely. Thanks for hosting me, Ryan.
Yeah, Hotel Data Conference, name of the game, data. We're going to talk about, obviously, your role and where data plays into that. But first, you come to a conference like this, what's the expectation? What do you hope to get out of it? And maybe when you're a couple weeks down the line, looking back on the conference, say, that was a success.
Yeah, for me, I spend a lot of time at conferences that are very narrow in scope, right? Whether it's high tech or the hospitality show, or even technology conferences that are outside of hospitality. So coming to HDC is always great. It's always refreshing. The keynote panel in the beginning always gives me hopefully optimism, and this morning it was very optimistic about the way things are going, so I'm thankful for that. But it's great to hear from commercial peers how they're using data, how they're surfacing insights, what tools they're using, and how they're turning it actionable. I mean, I think for me, as someone who spends a lot of time staring at screens, developing tools, looking at dashboards, hearing from people that actually depend on this information so crucially is really refreshing. So I get to cut through the noise a little bit and hear what's working and hopefully hear what's not.
Yeah, and that's what leads to your panel tomorrow, connecting AI to commercial strategy. Maybe give our Sweet Spot listeners a little bit of sneak peek and maybe your thoughts on the subject.
Yeah, we've got a great panel tomorrow. Super stoked for it. So we had a pre-call, as you tend to do with those panels, and as a result of that, we decided to zoom out a little bit, which I thought was important. So commercial still is the through line, as you would expect at HTC, but given the members that are on the panel, we've got some people that are on the revenue management side, we've got some people from HFTP, you've got me as an independent operator. We felt it really important to say, let's zoom out, let's take a pause, and let's look at where the industry is holistically. And so the questions are really driving off that. So you'll find that there's insights about, a year from now, what would we like to be doing differently, right? How are we driving actionable insights? What KPIs are important? What KPIs aren't important? Things like what's the difference between automation versus this new agentic era. So I think I'm actually really excited for it. The panel's great, and I think you're going to get some really interesting insights from a variety of different opinions.
Yeah, and what we talked about is so much can change. And you could talk about what could happen in a year. I mean, that could be a couple cycles with technology right now. And that's why I was really looking for this conversation, Max, because I get industry leaders, sometimes brand leaders, but you're in it every single day, right? As VP of technology. Where do you think we are in that AI adoption cycle? And then maybe zoom in a little bit on Charlestowne Hotels.
Yeah, so if we look at sort of where things are globally for the state of AI, I think obviously in the technology space, it's an existential crisis, right? I mean, I think you see that in jobs reports. I think you obviously see it in the way that they're measuring AI as an accelerant. So friends of mine that work for tech companies, they're seeing their time to release production code going from 5 weeks, 4 weeks down to 1 week.
Wow.
It's easy for them to measure. It's easy for them to see the outcomes. For us, I think it is ultimately a little bit more difficult. For Charlestown, we think it's really important to keep hospitality at the center of what we're doing, right? And so we're not parading around trying to be an AI company or a SaaS company. We firmly believe people and hospitality is going to be at the center of what we do. How do we use AI to power that? Whether it's through efficiencies, through maybe more sophisticated RMS, through generative guest insights. How do we make sure that we're being discovered when people are asking what's the best hotel in downtown Charleston, South Carolina? Those are really hard questions to answer. No one's got it figured out, but the conversations that are happening here are super encouraging because I think there is a lot of people admitting that and coming together to try to find the best path forward.
Yeah, and this is not your first podcast that you've been on recently. I saw you on CoStar News Hotel podcast where you talked about escaping hospitality's AI hype echo chamber. What's your thoughts on that, and maybe how do we avoid doing that here in spaces like this?
Yeah, I mean, if you go on LinkedIn, you can feel like FOMO is like absolutely crushing you, right? Everyone is like piloting something new. Everyone is advancing seemingly at the speed of light. It's really important to come to a conference like HTC to get a real life temperature check with what people are doing and how they're doing it. There is a tremendous amount of hype. There's a tremendous amount of potential, but I think for a lot of us, and especially from someone sitting in the seat of an operator, you have to be very disciplined.
Yes.
You have to have a step-by-step sequence of how you're actually going to accomplish this. It's okay to introduce a little bit of chaos. We've done that in the early days. I mean, if you go back, to 2023, 2024, we're experimenting with all the frontier models. But eventually, we wanted to collapse that into a unified choice, pick one model so that we can move forward and start measuring, are our team members crawling, who's walking, who's running, how do we devise resources to help kind of get everyone on the same page, march in the same direction, and get better at this? And so that's been our strategy, and fortunately, like that's what I'm hearing here at the conference.
Yeah, and the motivation for implementing AI can't come out of fear of we're not doing enough or we're just that FOMO feeling that you're talking about. It has to have what you said, discipline and direction.
Yeah, and Ryan, like fear is a huge part. I mean, that's one of the things that we're constantly up against. I think the negative attitude and apprehension towards AI is only going to continue to grow over time, right? Just like the excitement over it is going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Same thing's true for the negative. I mean, you have people that, absolutely have their head in the sand, which is okay for certain reasons. You have people that obviously have negative feelings about it because of the socioeconomic impacts.
Sure.
Companies potentially might be laying off, job displacement or replacement as a result of LLMs and the technologies that they introduce. There's the environmental factors. So like all those things are absolutely true. We don't think it's, as Charlestowne, our responsibility to sort of correct that, but we do want to make sure our associates, team members, and corporate leadership team know this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's fundamental, core to the business, and we're going to make an investment into our teams to make sure that they're prepared for this new wave, whatever it looks like.
Yeah, it's exciting times, and it's okay to, experiment, fail sometimes, because that'll show you some lessons too.
We've run so many pilots. We've had so many things fail. We've incinerated millions of tokens and subsequently thousands of dollars as a result of so many pilots, but we've learned a lot. And we're in a much better spot as a result of it. You have to be willing to take risks, especially now. I do believe no one's going to be left behind yet, but there is absolutely an advantage to being a first mover. And I think the companies that are at least experimenting and building AI fluency for their teams are going to be much better, much farther along than everybody else.
100%. And one of those spaces is the data, right? That's the name of the game of this conference here. How are some ways are you leveraging data to kind of grow Charlestowne Hotels or even just create efficiencies?
Yeah, so for us, it is a challenge. So think about the kind of company that we are. We focus mostly on the independent space. So we don't have sort of the technology through line like the brands have, where they can enforce a certain PMS, POS, CRS. Like it's very clean and organized and scalable that way.
Yeah.
For us, when we come into a new hotel operating environment, in most cases, technology hasn't been a major form of investment, right? I mean, most people don't come to Charlestowne Hotels with a great performing asset. They're like, we're in trouble, we need your help.
Right.
So then I come in, from the technology perspective, and it's like, okay, this is difficult. How are we going to extract information, put it into a centralized place, be able to sort of layer a BI tool or reporting package on top of it to actually surface the insights so these one-off owner-operators can get the insights that like a company like Charlestowne Hotels can deliver at scale with all the independent properties and things we've learned across the secondary and tertiary markets that we work in. So, I mean, to put it simply for us, it is about having like a central data repository or warehouse. I mean, there's plenty out there, Databricks, Snowflake. We're a BigQuery customer. We do a lot with Google. But it is, if you think about where things are going, to bring it back to AI, so much of the conversation surrounds having a good data foundation, because AI is an accelerant. If you have bad data, it's going to accelerate you to bad outcomes more quickly.
That's a great point.
If you have a bad business strategy, it's going to optimize for the wrong KPIs. So for us, it is very much about having solid fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's not a reason for you to stop, right? It's just more a reason for you to proceed cautiously.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you do it right, all of a sudden you get that personalization, which, hospitality has been really the last decade. It's been striving so much for, to get that personalization within the guest experience. So as we wrap up, we always like to, I know this is going to be difficult because, like we said, things change so quickly in the tech space, but what's your vision for Charlestowne Hotels from a technology perspective?
Yeah, great question. I thought you were going to ask me a hard one, like what's my favorite color? But no, for vision for technology, for us, as long as we keep like hospitality at the center as our North Star, that really does simplify things for us. It is going to be difficult. There's, obviously a whole host of different frontier models you have to choose from. Tokenomics is going to continue to be a big part. People talk about ROI with LLMs, but no one's really talking about the expense, and expenses continue to grow.
Great point.
Right? So we're focused really on, not only the ROI from some of the LLM tools, but obviously the tremendous cost that's associated with running them at scale. But as long as we keep people and human beings at the center, reducing mundane work, admin tasks, friction, so that our people can spend less time in front of screens and just be more hospitable, I think that really is the vision. Technology is going to support that. It's going to hopefully be more invisible. So the people that come to hospitality, they didn't come to like move information around, push paper, or spend time in front of a computer. They spent it to like be empathetic, to be excited, to surprise and delight. And so our goal, that's our North Star, and technology is going to be there to support it.
Yeah, I mean, some industries, you're right, are going to be completely flipped upside down with this technology. But hospitality, we have that advantage of being a people-first industry. So
I think it's like the key differentiator. And honestly, it's like hospitality has an opportunity to have a really strong opinion. As so many industries are completely rolled over by this AI wave, hospitality can actually say, no, you know what, people in hospitality are at the center, and so as there is potentially more AI backlash and people are seeking more authentic experiences with people and connections, I think it's going to be a great benefit to our industry. Yeah,
and we've seen from the data, experiences still seem to be...
I think that's going to grow.
Yeah, agreed. Max, appreciate the time. Thank you. We'll keep an eye on Charlestowne Hotels and everything you're doing over there.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.